If you're like most of us, you probably started with Windows. You eventually made the switch to Linux for the freedom, the control, the performance, only to have that oh no moment when you realized you still need that one crucial Windows app. This video is for you. Whether it's Photoshop, Microsoft Office, or some legacy enterprise software, we've all been there. Wine can be hit or miss, and VirtualBox feels heavy and clunky. Today, we're exploring a potential game changer, WinBoat. This open source tool aims to let you run Windows apps on Linux as if they were native. So, let's dive in. What WinBoat is, how it works, how to install it on Ubuntu, and most importantly, does it actually deliver on its promise? WinBoat isn't Wine, and it's not Proton either. It doesn't try to translate Windows system calls into Linux calls. Instead, it takes a completely different, and honestly, smarter approach. It sets up a real Windows environment inside a lightweight virtual machine, powered by KVM, the kernel-based virtual machine. But here's where it gets interesting. WinBoat uses Docker to encapsulate that Windows VM. That means your Windows instance runs isolated in a container, easy to start, stop, and manage, just like a Docker app. Now, instead of showing you the entire Windows desktop, WinBoat can open individual Windows apps directly on your Linux desktop. No more Windows inside a window. You can open Notepad, File Explorer, or any Office apps as if they were native Linux apps. Let's break down the magic a bit. KVM provides near-native performance for virtualization. Docker packages it neatly, so it's easy to manage and totally isolated. FreeRDP handles the display. It streams just the application window instead of the full desktop. This combination makes Windows applications appear right on your Linux desktop without launching a bulky VM interface. WinBoat even integrates your Linux home directory so you can open files from your Linux folders directly inside a Windows app. For example, opening a .doc in Microsoft Word without moving files back and forth. It just works. Alright, let's talk setup. Because while WinBoat is exciting, it's not plug and play yet. Here's what you need before installation. At least 4 GB of RAM, 2 CPU cores, and about 30 GB of disk space. Virtualization enabled in your BIOS. Docker and Docker Compose v2 installed, the CLI version, not Docker Desktop. FreeRDP version 3 installed. First, let's make sure our system is up to date and install the core packages that WinBoat needs to run. Open a terminal and run these commands, which also will install the Docker and FreeRDP necessary dependencies if you don't already have them. And once this is finished, you should reboot your computer for the changes to take effect. Now, let's go to the WinBoat GitHub repository and check the latest release. Great! We can see it's version 0.8.7. Back in our terminal, we'll install it like this. Once installed, just type WinBoat to run it, then click Next, and we have checked almost all the prerequisites except for the free TDP 3.something version. Let's quickly fix that. Since we initially installed an older FreeRDP 2.x version, just open a terminal and run the following commands to quickly fix it. And great, now we've got the correct version. Let's open WinBoat again, and you'll see that all the prerequisites are now checked. Next, pick an installation location on your PC, then choose which Windows version you want to install. I'll leave it at the default, Windows 11 Pro. But you can also use a custom ISO image if the version you want isn't listed. Next, set up a username and password. For the hardware configuration, you can choose lower values for CPU, RAM, and disk space. It'll still work just fine. But depending on what kind of tasks you plan to do and how many resources your system has available, you can increase them as much as you like. Just keep in mind that, like any virtual machine, WinBoat will reserve those resources while it's running, so they'll show up as in use on your PC. Next, you can choose whether to share your Linux home folder with Windows. If you enable this, you'll get quick access to your Linux files directly from Windows, which can be really handy depending on your workflow. Finally, review your settings before starting the installation. If you want to adjust anything, you can still go back. For example, I might lower the resource allocation a bit. Once you're ready, click Install. This process takes a while, so feel free to pause the video and come back in a few minutes. One small trick. If you're like me, you probably enjoy seeing what's happening while something is installing. At one point during the setup, WinBoat stops showing the progress inside the app. But if you open your browser and go to localhost on port 8006, you can still see everything happening in real time. It's basically a live mirror of the installation running behind the scenes, made possible by the Docker container. A few minutes later, the installation is complete. From your browser, you'll see the Windows desktop, just like in a regular virtual machine. That's already pretty cool, but let's close that and switch back to WinBoat. Now, open the Apps tab. From here, you can actually launch any Windows app and it'll appear as if it's running natively on your computer. You don't need to see the entire Windows desktop, just the app window itself. For example, you can open Notepad or other windows like the Control Panel or even File Explorer, and they'll all pop up directly on your Linux desktop. I don't know about you, but I think that looks really cool. I've just started exploring it, but I plan to give WinBoat some real use over the next few weeks. If you're interested in seeing how it performs long term, stay tuned. I may come back with another video soon. Thanks for watching and see you next time.